after the headlines. I'm Sarza, joining from Dhaka. Today I want to talk about a question that sounds simple, but it makes people uncomfortable. Are poorer countries more corrupt? You'll often hear, of course, look at Africa, look at South Asia, look at Latin America. But the truth is more complicated and honestly more interesting. So let's break it down. First, what is corruption? Economists usually define corruption as the abuse of public power for private gain. That includes things like bribes, kickbacks, favoritism, political patronage, state capture by elites, and influence trading. Transparency International, the group behind the Corruption Perceptions Index, reminds us this is often about systems, not only bad people. So when people say X country is corrupt, they're actually describing incentives and institutions. Second, are poorer countries really more corrupt? On paper, yes. If you look at Transparency International rankings or World Bank governance data, you'll usually see rich countries like Denmark, Finland, New Zealand near the top, and many poorer countries, including Bangladesh, scoring lower. So the quick conclusion is poverty causes corruption, but research shows the relationship actually runs both ways. Corruption can make countries poorer because it creates inequality blocks. It erodes trust in government. And poverty can also fuel corruption because weak state capacity, lower salaries, poor service delivery, and high bureaucracy create incentives for bribes just to get basic things done. So it's a feedback loop. Each reinforces the other. But here is where it gets really interesting. The late Clayton Christensen from Harvard Business School wrote about corruption in a very different way. He said, in places where systems don't work, corruption sometimes becomes the grease that keeps daily life moving. If a permit takes 8 months, but a bribe gets it done in 2 days, that bribe is actually workaround for a broken process. It's not morally right, but it's rational inside a failing system. So corruption isn't just greed. Sometimes it's a symptom of inefficiency. Fix the system, and the corruption declines on its own. Ignore the system, and anti-corruption slogans change nothing. This is a powerful way to think about corruption. So is corruption only a poor country problem? Absolutely not. Rich countries also have corruption. They just package it differently. In the global south, it might look like a bribe at a government desk. In the global north, it might look like lobbying, tax loopholes, corporate political influence, or financial secrecy. The mechanism changes, the effect is similar. And let's remember, many corruption scandals involve Western banks, real estate markets, or shell companies. So the idea that Black and brown and global south countries are corrupt and global north countries are clean is lazy and honestly a very harmful narrative. What actually predicts corruption then? Research points to 4 big factors. Number 1, weak institutions, courts, police, regulators. If they're politicized or under-resourced, corruption rises. 2, low state capacity. If governments cannot deliver services reliably, people find informal workarounds. 3, high inequality. When elites are too powerful, rules become negotiable. Lastly, lack of transparency and accountability. When no one audits, no one reports, and no one prosecutes, corruption spreads. Notice something? None of these are cultural. They are structural. So what should we take away from this? Corruption is not about bad people in poor countries. It's about systems that don't work and incentives that reward shortcuts. And this is just as important as people. And people sometimes participate in corrupt systems not because they're evil, but because it is the only way to get anything, to move anything. So if we want real change, we cannot just punish individuals. We need simpler procedures, faster service delivery, living wages for public servants, independent courts, and a culture where public power truly belongs to citizens. Because corruption thrives when systems fail, and it declines when systems function. So, are poorer countries more corrupt? On paper, often yes. In reality, corruption is a systemic problem with global roots and local incentives. And the real question isn't who is corrupt. It is what kind of system forces people to rely on corruption just to get ordinary life done. Thank you for listening to After the Headlines. I'm Sarza. If this episode helped you think differently, engage or leave a comment. Let's begin this year by asking better questions instead of repeating tired stereotypes. Until next time.